In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the engine oil on this Chevy Silverado 2500. We're working with a 6.0 liter engine. Let's get started. Now from underneath the vehicle, you're going to see your oil drain plug over here. You can use a 14mm wrench or socket and break this free. As it's getting close to the last thread, I'm going to keep pressure on it so that when it does hit the last thread, I can pull it out quickly and avoid making a mess. There we go. Let's remove the oil filter. It's just on the other side of the oil pan. I'm going to use an oil filter wrench. Make sure it's seated well on there. Break it free. I'm going to get my wrench off before oil starts pouring all over it. I'll let this drain for a second in my collection bucket, and then we'll finish removing the filter. Finish unthreading the oil filter. We're going to let this drain. With a clean rag, let's wipe off any oil that has dripped all over the place here. And I'm going to inspect the mounting area of the oil filter. I want to make sure the threads are good. I want to make sure the outer lip here, where the seal rides, is perfectly clean. And of course, make sure the old seal, the old gasket, didn't stick on here. Otherwise, you will be double gasketing your oil filter and it will leak. It will not seal up. Wipe off the oil pan on the side here just so it doesn't drip all over the place. And now we can get ready to install the new filter. I like to pre-fill my oil filters. So in this new one, I'm going to put some 5W30 oil, get it primed up. Make sure the filter element is full of oil and ready to go, especially since this one sits upright. No oil will spill out as we thread on the new filter. Once it's almost full, what I'm going to do is take a clean finger and lubricate this O-ring on the edge here, or on the top. This will do two things. One, it will prevent the gasket from sticking on and basically baking onto the oil pan the next time it has to be removed, but it's also going to help it seal up a little bit better. Now let's get this filter on the vehicle. Now thread on the new filter, line it up, start it by hand. It should start on smoothly. Once it catches, it'll thread on really smoothly. If it doesn't, it's probably cross-threading, so stop, spin it backwards, and try again. This is bottomed out. I'm going to get my filter wrench, that cup. Usually I try to avoid tightening it with those, but just because of the space limitations here, I have to use it. Just keep in mind, you don't want to go more than about 3/4 of a turn after it bottoms out. Otherwise, you will over squish that gasket and you can cause issues. Seat that cup, and just give it a little squish. And that's good right there. Use some brake parts cleaner and clean off the area so that you don't have any residual oil dripping off here. The oil is done draining now, so I'm going to wipe off the drain plug area, inspect the threads on the oil pan as well as on the drain plug. Everything looks good for me. So I'm going to put this back in, thread it on the rest of the way, and then we're going to snug it up. The torque for this is 18 foot-pounds, so once I snug it up, I'm going to stop right there. That's 18 foot-pounds right there. It's really not much, so if you don't have the means to torque it, just snug it up with a wrench. On the passenger side of your engine compartment, under the hood, you'll see the oil filler cap. Twist it counterclockwise until it stops and then pull straight up on it. That's going to remove it, and then this will give you access to fill up your engine with oil. I'm going to choose to put a funnel in here so I don't make a mess. And through my funnel, I'm going to put 6 quarts of 5W30 engine oil. That's what this engine takes. 6 quarts does include what we filled in the oil filter, so 6 quarts total, including the oil filter of 5W30 is what this engine requires. All right, here's our last quart of oil, the 6th quart. After this, we are going to check it. Even though I know that it takes 6 quarts, I always like to double check it on the dipstick to make sure I'm spot on. I'm going to remove my funnel now and cap off the oil filler. Turn this clockwise until it stops spinning. Right next to the oil filler cap, you'll see the yellow dipstick. This is for the engine oil. I'm going to take it out and wipe it off at the same time. This first removal is not going to be our reading. This is just going to clean it off so we can actually get a proper reading. Once it's cleaned off, stick it all the way back down in and then pull it out. Now is when we will take our reading. On the dipstick, you'll see several dots. This top one is going to be your full mark. If you are anywhere below this top one, add about 1/4 of a quart at a time until you get to the full mark. This is where you're going to want to be. This is going to represent 6 quarts of oil. So I'm spot on. That's good. I'm good to go. Now let's put this back in and reset the oil maintenance reminder. Slide the dipstick all the way back down in. To reset the oil life on this vehicle, you would typically have some buttons right along here. This truck does not have this option, so I'm missing the buttons, but there are 4 buttons here. The button that has a little car with the I letter on it, you would press that. That would cycle through several screens here on your gauge cluster. Once you get to the oil life, then you would press the lowermost button, that's a check mark, hold that, and that will reset your oil change reminder.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.